Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Aid 1043, the online internet video game TV show that blurs the line between parody and plagiarism. Kingdom Hearts VCast is the third and most important game in the Kingdom Hearts series, but for some strange reason, there seems to be a distinct lack of challenge runs of the series' mobile premiere. Since the 1st of April demands shenanigans, and since I refused to alter this parody intro after the video got pushed back from April Fool's Day, I'll be channeling the energy of Ms. GameChamp to answer a question that no one has ever dared or bothered to ask. Can you beat Kingdom Hearts VCast at level 1? The rules are simple. Starting from a fresh save file, we must beat the entire game with Sora collecting the lowest amount of experience points possible. I say the lowest amount of EXP possible because, spoiler alert, there's no way to fully protect the Keyblade hero from eventual self-improvement. As such, we'll be going for a minimalist run, but it will still take some careful routing to keep Sora as the worst possible version of himself. The run starts in Obstacle Course, the tutorial level. There are no branching paths, just one straight line from start to finish. The first 5 rooms introduce the player to the basic movement controls, so we don't have to worry about anything until we reach Section 6 of Obstacle Course, the combat tutorial. Since the only way to gain experience points is by killing enemies, we'll want to avoid combat as much as possible, making this something of a pacifist run. This means it's time to familiarize ourselves with the combat system of Kingdom Hearts VCast. With the exception of bosses, enemies are spawned by entering a designated combat zone. While in the combat zone, Sora's jump button changes to attack. When all enemies are defeated, your commands return to normal. You're welcome to leave the combat zone at any time, at which point your foes will forget that they were supposed to exist. This means that there's nothing stopping us from simply walking past enemies until they despawn, unless there's a ledge that prevents Sora from leaving the combat zone without a jump command. Now, let's see if we can apply this knowledge to bypass the combat tutorial in Obstacle Course. In the center of the room is one shadow. In order to complete the level, we have to walk through this door, which is on the other side of the combat zone. Sora can easily make his way past the shadow and to the exit door, but that leaves us with a new problem. The door is locked. Unless we were to somehow gain a mystical artifact that can unlock any door, it looks like we're going to need the key. Unfortunately, the chest that holds the key only starts existing after the shadow has tasted the teeth of Sora's Keyblade. There's simply no way to open the door and complete the level without killing the shadow. This means we have no choice but to accept our fate and add the first experience points to our counter. We kill one shadow, which means that we add 0 EXP? That's right! Luckily for us, the experience drops for each enemy are dependent on the current world, and the shadows in Obstacle Course dropped precisely 0 experience points. However, we'll have to be careful not to be caught off guard by any drop changes in future levels. Anyway, we can murder Obstacle Course's singular shadow with absolutely no worries of Sora becoming a better person, and exit the level with the 0 experience run still intact. The second world is Swashbuckler's Island, and in order to progress the story, we will need to collect 4 gems scattered across the level. After talking to Kaw, we can head to the first gem, which is located on the tower in the room immediately next to the starting area. There are 2 shadows guarding a completely optional treasure chest, but none in the way to the tower. The only obstacle on our path is Cage VCast's dreadful depth perception, which grants 0 experience points for overcoming. The second gem is also on the right half of the island, inside this lava-filled cavern. There are another 2 shadows in our way, but they can be passed by with no consequence. For gem number 3, go back around to the starting half of the island and to the mysterious altar, where Sora can pocket the stone without conflict. The final gem is back in the starting room with Kaw, but we couldn't have grabbed it on our first visit. You see, visiting the altar earlier triggered a cutscene of Maleficent, and watching that cutscene unlocked an arbitrary progression gate that caused a crate to wash up on shore, and moving that crate allows us to reach the mast of our raft, and placing the mast allows Kaw to leave his barrel, and that in turn allows us to smash the barrel to pieces and claim the gem within. Simple as that. With all 4 gems in our hands, and no heartless blood on our hands, we can make our way back to the altar and earn our first magic spell, Blizzard. However, this leads directly into a forced combat encounter against 3 shadows in a cave beneath the altar. The only exit route is this rope, which doesn't appear until all 3 shadows are defeated. Plus, since we were cutscened into this battle, we can't pull any shenanigans to bypass the combat zone entirely. With no way to avoid bloodshed, we are forced to take our first experience points. 1 per shadow for a total of 3 EXP. However, our run is still safe for the moment. In Kingdom Hearts VCast, Sora begins at level 0 and reaches level 1 upon earning 4 experience points. And thankfully, the only thing left in Swashbuckler's Island is an encounter with Shadow Sora, which grants no experience. That means we can clear the stage with a total of 3 EXP, which, last time I checked, is lower than 4. We sail away from these undestined isles still at the lowest possible level. The third world is Wonderland. Although this chapter of the game is lost media, I'm confident that Sora resolves his differences with the world's heartless population in a peaceful and non-violent manner, being mindful to keep our EXP counter as low as possible. With Wonderland unplayable, we have no choice but to move on to the fourth world, Agrabah. Like Swashbuckler's Island, Agrabah begins with a non-linear fetch quest, tasking Sora with locating 3 golden coins scattered throughout the stage. The first coin is in the street outside of the room where Sora wakes up. It's easy enough to grab as a pacifist by climbing up this rope, but now's a good time to mention how magic works in the environment. Like the original Kingdom Hearts, a single room in Birth by Sleep, and very few things in between or since, magic can be used to unlock new paths in the world. However, Sora can't interact with these swirling magic icons during combat, so if the combat zone covers the prop, we will have to clear out the enemies first. Thankfully, the shadows in the street leave us plenty of room to cast Blizzard on the pot without sparking a fight. The second coin is found on the east edge of Agrabah in the housing area, but right away we have a problem. We need to reach the room that's up on the sledge, but there's a pot spider in the way. If you recall, Sora can't jump during combat, so it looks like we might have to clear out the Heartless in order to make it through. But I'm not ready to give up the true level 0 run just yet, so I started experimenting with this crate. See, just as combat zones lock Sora out of his non-combat abilities, executing a non-combat action will lock Sora out of combat. As long as we hold this crate, the pot spider will remain harmlessly camouflaged. Unfortunately, the only way to let go of the crate is to deposit it in a specific corner, which is still on the starting side of the room. However, while testing this, I discovered a much simpler solution. Simply jump while hugging the left wall, and the pot spider won't get the chance to sacrifice itself in pursuit of Sora's betterment. After some rooftop platforming, we can pick up the second golden coin, and with it, the fire spell. We'll need fire in order to get the final golden coin from Kingdom Hearts VCast's hardest boss, the Blue Rhapsody. A quick refresher for those who aren't versed in VCast enemy design. The Blue Rhapsody is a puzzle mini-boss that will infinitely respawn until 4 torches around the temple are lit. Torches can only be lit with the fire spell, and since you can only interact with the environment outside of combat, you're forced to slay the Blue Rhapsody before you can light a torch. The Blue Rhapsody respawns each time you light one, so you have to kill it 4 times to light all 4 torches. Now, here comes the tricky part. During the fight, the Blue Rhapsody constantly runs away from Sora. If it runs past a torch that you have previously lit, it will be extinguished, adding another cycle to the battle. This can easily get out of hand if you don't kill the Heartless quickly enough. Thankfully, experience points aren't awarded after each kill, but at the end of the encounter. Regardless of how many Blue Rhapsodies you slaughter, Sora will only gain 12 experience points. I would prefer to gain 0 experience points, but the exit to the room is beneath the sarcophagus, and there's no way to enter it until all 4 torches are lit. But there's another problem. Facing the Blue Rhapsody is far easier said than done. The thing about a level 1 run is that you don't level up. The devs expect us to be around level 5 or 6 by this point in the game, but our stats are still at their starting values, meaning that we are woefully unequipped to handle this boss fight. With Sora's current strength value, we only slightly outpace the Icy Cube on a power scale. Keyblade swings and magic damage are calculated with the same formula, so we're stuck chipping away at the Blue Rhapsody's HP bar regardless of our method of attack. It takes 8 hits to slay the Heartless, and remember, we have to do this a minimum of 4 times. On the other side of the ring, we have the Blue Rhapsody, the Krabby Cake to our Icy Cube. Its giant fire spell will knock Sora out in just 3 hits. Landing a Keyblade strike will instantly provoke a counterattack, which is virtually unavoidable. Unless you have a desire to share Frollo's fate, it seems like our only option is to keep our distance and pick off the Blue Rhapsody with magic spells. But at level 1, our MP bar isn't big enough to take down 1 Blue Rhapsody, let alone 4. Plus, we still need MP to light the torches. No matter how you look at it, it just doesn't look like we can defeat the Blue Rhapsody. So what if we don't defeat the Blue Rhapsody? The encounter is designed to be unskippable, but Kingdom Hearts VCast and game design aren't exactly on speaking terms. I set to work, and after a lot of experimenting, I found a solution that breaks this game wide open. The trick we're going to use revolves around one very specific mechanic. Take a look at this clip and pay close attention to Sora's feet. Did you see that? When Sora takes damage, he recoils, and his position is set slightly backwards. And that's the key distinction. Sora doesn't move slightly backwards, his position is set slightly backwards. The game doesn't actually check if Sora's new position is a valid location. Its only job is to set Sora's position slightly backward when he recoils, even if that isn't somewhere he's normally allowed to go. You probably see where this is going. If Sora's back is to a wall, we can exploit this recoil movement to clip into the level geometry. Now, this recoil clip doesn't solve all of our problems. Remember, enemies can only spawn in designated combat zones, so that limits the areas we could try to clip out of. Plus, if Sora leaves the combat zone, the enemies despawn. This means you might be able to recoil clip into a wall at the edge of a combat zone, but the enemies will disappear if you get too far away, leaving Sora stuck in the wall. However, the temple in Agrabah is a very unique case. The way forward is not at the edge of a wall, but inside the sarcophagus. In theory, it should still be inside the bounds of the Blue Rhapsody's combat zone. If we can take damage with our back to the sarcophagus, we might be able to recoil clip into the loading zone. The Blue Rhapsody, though, is not letting us through without a fight. As we discussed, the Heartless runs away when Sora approaches it, so getting hit in the right position isn't going to be easy. There's also the large issue of our very much not large HP bar. At level 1, the Blue Rhapsody is going to send us to a coffin before we get through the sarcophagus. We're going to need some backup. Permanent stat increases are locked behind level up rewards, which are off the table for obvious reasons, but we can make up the difference with items. Healing items and Cage Vcast are closer to revives than traditional potions, automatically restoring Sora's HP when it reaches 0. Potions restore half of Sora's HP, rounded up, and high potions restore the full bar. There are also ethers and elixirs, which restore half and all of Sora's MP gauge, respectively. If we take a stroll around Agrabah and open every chest that contains an item, Sora will end up with 5 elixirs, but 0 potions or high potions. Thankfully, there's 1 potion in a chest back on Swashbuckler's island, which we can grab without adding any experience points to our total. Our pockets sufficiently stuffed with questionable compounds, we can scurry back to the Blue Rhapsody. After testing, I found a consistent strategy to recoil clip into the sarcophagus. Approach the Heartless from the left edge to lure it to the right, keeping it along the back wall. You're going to have to tank a fireball, but that's okay. Run quickly towards the sarcophagus and turn around. You have to be close enough to be within the Blue Rhapsody's attack range, but far enough away to not scare it to the next corner. With proper positioning, you can recoil clip into the loading zone beneath the sarcophagus in 3 hits. On top of skipping the Blue Rhapsody fight, this clip actually saves us a second kill too. In a normal playthrough, defeating the Blue Rhapsody spawns the mummy, and killing the mummy is what opens the sarcophagus. By entering the sarcophagus early, we can avoid both kills and a combined 20 experience points. Of course, clipping into that loading zone only gets us out of the frying pan and into the Firaga. In the crypts beneath the temple, there are 2 chests that are required to clear the level. The first has the golden coin that we've been searching for, and the second has 1/2 of a golden scarab, which we will need later to enter the Cave of Wonders. The only problem is that these chests are located in alcoves behind sarcophagi, and sliding either sarcophagus aside spawns a mummy. We can't open the treasure chest while the mummy is spawned in, since the attack command overwrites the open button. If we want to grab both of these chests, we will have to add 2 mummies to our kill total. Or will we? Consider this. The only reason we need to kill the mummy is to restore access to our open command to get the chest, but the only reason the mummy spawns in is because we move the sarcophagus to access the chest of the alcove. If we can get into the alcove without moving the sarcophagus, the mummy will never spawn and we can open the treasure chest without issue. Here's the plan. We open the first sarcophagus to spawn 1 mummy. Using that mummy, we recoil clip into the alcove behind the second sarcophagus. We kill the first mummy, restoring our open command and allowing us to get the chest that is usually guarded by the second mummy. Then, the next time we enter the room, the first mummy will still be defeated since kills are permanently stored on save files. This leaves the first chest behind the first sarcophagus unguarded, so we can open that right away. If we can pull this off, we can grab both treasures with only 1 casualty. This won't be easy though. First off, can we even recoil clip into the chest alcove? As I said, there are pretty tight restrictions on where we can use recoil clipping, but this is actually a perfect room for it. See, the mummy enemy is special in 2 ways. First, it doesn't attack, it just slowly shuffles towards Sora and deals contact damage. Second, it can't be despawned. Mummies are loaded in via cutscene, not entering a combat zone, so there's no way to escape other than leaving the room entirely. Combined, these 2 traits make the mummy an active hitbox permanently moving in Sora's direction. Because the mummy always approaches Sora, we can experience recoil anywhere the mummy can go. Because it won't despawn no matter where Sora goes, including out of bounds, there's no limit to our clip other than where the mummy can hit us. Here's the secret about recoil clipping. It works both ways. If you hit the mummy with a magic spell, it will also experience recoil, granting it the same reality-defying movement as Sora. This means the enemy can follow us into the wall, allowing us to chain hits as long as we please. Okay, so recoil clipping with the mummy is theoretically possible, but once again, our pitiful health bar is proving a problem. It will take 8 hits of 1 damage each to clip through the alcove wall. Our scuffle with the Blue Rhapsody left us with 1 HP in a dream, so unless dreams can be used to synthesize healing items, this plan is dead on arrival. We've already claimed every item from treasure chests in the past 2 worlds, but there is a second way to get items, the shop. This Moogle-less establishment charges 15 money for a high potion. If we went out of our way to collect every additional treasure chest in Swashbuckler's Island in Agrabah, we would have 21 money, enough for 1 high potion, half of what we need to survive the mummy. But remember, in the Kingdom Hearts series, money is famously harvested from the corpses of our foes, and we were forced to kill 4 shadows in obstacle course in Swashbuckler's Island. Every felled enemy drops 3 random orbs, either HP, MP, or money. But HP and MP orbs won't drop if Sora's health and magic gauges are full. As long as we can defeat the shadows without getting hit, we can get a guaranteed 12 money, bringing our total to 33. On paper, if we invest all of our savings in high potion stocks, we have enough health to make it out alive. 2 high potions nets us 10 additional HP, which is enough to recoil into the alcove with 3 HP left over. But think about where that leaves us, trapped in a tiny room with a mummy that always chases us, a mummy that deals contact damage. Suddenly, our 3 HP isn't looking so good. What's worse, mummies have a third special property I left out earlier. They can only be damaged by magic attacks. At level 1, it takes 15 hits to defeat a mummy. Even with the requisite elixirs, it still takes forever to land 15 spells, in which time the mummy is certain to reach us in the cramped alcove. This problem has an easy workaround. Before performing the recoil clip, damage the mummy until it's almost dead, using the larger floor plan of the crypt to avoid extra damage. Then, perform the recoil clip and finish off the mummy before you join its undead ranks. If you successfully pull this off, then congratulations! The Kingdom Hearts VCast level 1 run is officially mission failed. Killing this mummy nets us 8 experience points, which is actually enough to bring us straight to level 2. Our reward is a maximum HP increase, which is too tiny to make much of a difference, and a strength upgrade, which doubles our damage output. Of course, the minimalist run is far from over, and killing the mummy leads us right into the next problem. We needed to get rid of that mummy to open the chest, but without a mummy, we have no way to clip back out of the alcove. In a stroke of good fortune, if you press yourself up against the inside of the sarcophagus, you can slide it open from the other side. This only works on one of the 2 alcoves though, so be sure to choose the right one. In case you forgot, opening a sarcophagus spawns a mummy, which is true even if we activate it from the back end. We still need to grab the other treasure chest in this room, the one that was hidden behind the mummy that we killed, but we can't open chests during combat. We'll have to leave the room to force the mummy to despawn. When we come back, the remaining chests should be unguarded, since the first mummy will stay dead. But I nearly went a sentence there without introducing a new complication, so let's remedy that. The only open exit to the crypt is the path back up to the temple. If we want to leave the room and re-enter, you will need to perform the recoil clip with the Blue Rhapsody a second time. And this time around, we don't have the potions or high potions necessary to survive the trick. There are no more treasure chests to replenish our item or money supply. Even if we got perfect RNG and had the mummy drop 3 money orbs, it wouldn't be enough to push us over. At this point, you'd probably expect me to pull out some crazy new trick. Maybe there's a better way to clip through walls that doesn't require an HP sacrifice, or maybe there's a different game-breaking glitch that can bypass this encounter entirely. But no, the answer is incredibly simple. If we don't have enough money to buy high potions from the shop, then we can get more money by killing enemies. Wait a minute, I hear you saying, this is the level 1 run and killing enemies gives you experience. Or does it? Once again, we'll exploit a very specific feature of Kingdom Hearts VCast. If Heartless spawn in a group, you are only awarded experience points after the final enemy is killed. If we were to, say, kill only one of the shadows in the Agrabah housing district, it wouldn't give us any experience. But it would drop up to 3 money. And if we leave and re-enter the room, the wave of shadows will be fully replenished. As backwards as it seems, killing extra enemies is the only way to move forwards with this minimum EXP challenge. Kill 1 shadow, collect 3 money, exit the room before finishing off the wave to avoid earning experience points, and rinse and repeat until your pockets are full. After a few dozen deaths that weigh neither on our conscience nor the local shadow population, we have enough money to purchase a few high potions. Finally, all of the pieces are in place. Using the high potions to tank the Blue Rhapsody's attacks, clip into the sarcophagus. Back in the crypt, move aside the dead mummy sarcophagus and claim the 1 golden coin from the treasure chest. Remember, all of this maneuvering was to avoid a single mummy kill, shaving off 8 EXP. At long last, we have the key items needed to continue with the level. Back in the main market of Agrabah, exchange our 3 gold coins for a cane, and exchange that cane for the other half of the Scarab Beetle. With the full Scarab Beetle, we can now open the door to the Cave of Wonders. This door just so happens to be back in the crypt, so we'll have to perform one final recoil clip to spare this ungrateful Blue Rhapsody's life. The Cave of Wonders consists of 2 rooms on either side of a central cavern. The room on the left wants you to defeat a bandit so you can jump across a rock, but with some careful movement we can avoid the combat zone entirely. The room on the right is a bit trickier. We need to light 2 braziers, but a bandit prevents us from interacting with the environment. Recoil clipping is a no-go. Even if we grinded for enough high potions to survive the bandit's hits, Clipping past the far side of the combat zone doesn't help, since the magic interaction icon won't appear until the Heartless is defeated. Even if it did, we would have no way to clip back in afterwards. Regrettably, we are forced to bring down the bandit, cursing us with an additional 10 experience points. The rest of Agrabah is straightforward. After exiting the Cave of Wonders, we can head straight to the final boss, Jafar. The end of the level is triggered by sealing the keyhole in the second boss room, and, as always, we can't interact with the environment until we are out of combat. There's simply no way to circumvent this encounter. That said, even at our low level, this two-phase battle is a complete pushover, since Jafar's Cobra form drops infinite HP and MP orbs whenever you hit him. Now, before we leave this world for good, a quick aside about recoil clipping. During the process of inventing the trick, I found some completely pointless applications that I wanted to share. Usually, the enemies push you outside of their combat zone before you can get too far out of bounds, so most recoil clips end up with Sora stuck in a wall. You can also go too far and fall through the edge of the map, which results in an instant death. But there's one encounter other than the mummy where you can keep chaining recoil clips forever: the Jafar boss fight. During his first phase, his fireballs can pass through walls, and the floor happens to extend on an infinite plane. There's absolutely no use for this setup since the room is entered and exited via cutscene and has no loading zones to clip into, but it sure is fun to break the game by sitting back and drinking someone else's latte. Anyway, we can leave Agrabah having earned a total of 56 experience points. That's 3 from the Shadows on Swashbuckler's Island, 8 from the Mummy in the Crypt, 10 from the Bandit in the Cave of Wonders, and 35 from Jafar. We're now at level 3. Maleficent's castle is the final world. Compared to Swashbuckler's Island and Agrabah, the level is fairly linear, which isn't good news for a minimum EXP run. The first task is to retrieve a lever and open the castle gates, which is guarded by a wave of 3 shadows. You can walk right on top of the lever as much as you want, but you can't pick it up. After inspecting the game code, it appears that the trigger to collect the lever is to stand on top of it while not in combat. The Shadows combat zone covers the entire corridor, so we'll have to take them out in order to continue. No amount of recoil clipping will help us out here, and trust me, I tried. Barely one room into the world, and we're already forced to add 15 EXP to our total, bringing us to 71. After using the lever, there's one more enemy guarding the way to the castle proper. This dark ball by the drawbridge can be spared by passing through the far end of its combat zone, but here's a little trick for the level 1 run. If you exit and re-enter a combat zone really quickly, the enemies will temporarily glitch out and become intangible, allowing you to walk straight through the area without risking any damage. Once we bypass the dark ball, we can navigate all the way to the prison cell without any forced encounters. At this point in the story, Maleficent arrives and politely takes Sora's Keyblade, so we can't even think about killing any Heartless. Her dedication to the minimum EXP run is appreciated. Given that this next section is designed around puzzle solving rather than skull cracking, we can blaze through without any risk of self-improvement. After solving a maze, retrieving our Keyblade, rescuing Donald and Goofy, stopping for a quick drink with Shadow Sora, learning the Thunder Spell, and falling for at least one obvious trap along the way, we reach the final roadblock of Maleficent's castle, the Staircase. This room is made up of 3 layers, each guarded by a different enemy. The only way to unlock the next layer is to clear out the enemies on the current layer, which is antithetical to our EXP dodging lifestyle. Sadly, there doesn't seem to be any way to avoid fighting. The combat zone doesn't quite extend to the edges of the platform. This means that it's impossible to recoil clip to the next layer, since the enemies will despawn if you get too close to the wall. I was really hoping to find a clever way past the enemies here, even going as far as to pull up the room model to look for exploitable geometry, but I think we have to accept our fate. With no other options left to us, the staircase takes a toll of 3 Maleficent goons and 3 dark balls, worth 30 and 36 EXP respectively, bringing us to level 4. The air soldiers on the 3rd step can be ignored, which means that we can enter the final room of the game with a total of 137 experience points. From this point on, there are no more normal enemies. All that's left is to steal Maleficent's tooth and remorsefully accept 40 experience points for beating the final boss, which is 100% required. The fight takes place at the top of this tower, and the exit zipline is only grabbable once combat is over, so there's no way to exit the battle early. Sora celebrates his ostensible victory by lighting Goofy on fire and jumping into a boiling cauldron, and we fade to black. With Sora cured from the dark poison that's slowly been killing him the entire game, and yes, that is the actual plot, the Kingdom Hearts VCAS minimum experience run is officially mission complete. We finished the game with Sora at level 5, having earned a total of 177 experience points across 17 enemies, plus a Legion of Shadows that granted no reward. It's not quite level 1, but given that a normal playthrough would easily surpass the 500 EXP cap before even reaching the final boss, I consider this run a massive success. Maleficent's castle was certainly the roughest world, adding 10 kills and accounting for nearly 70% of our EXP gain. The true star of the show was Agrabah, which I had a ton of fun routing out. It had several minor skips that were very satisfying to pull off, I had to invent recoil clips to perform multiple out-of-bounds tricks, and to top it off, we exploited the combat system to a point where killing extra enemies would make us earn less experience overall. One last note. The Wonderland chapter of Kingdom Hearts VCast is currently lost, but it might still be out there somewhere on an old Verizon phone. The other worlds were only recovered within the last 5 years, so there's still hope, even if it will undoubtedly add more EXP to our minimalist run. Finally, special thanks to GameChamp for inspiring this run and giving me an excuse to revisit one of my favorite games of all time, and remember that this style was just a delayed April Fool's special. Let me know how much this video sucks and how to improve in the comments below, and long live VCast.